Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to go live for a little bit, talk a little bit about sales coaching. And one of the questions I'd like to ask, and you maybe see it in my comment here, is, raise your hand or smile or comment, right? If you passed your sales coaching class or your sales training course in law school. How many of you had a sales training course? How many of you had any professional sales coaching whatsoever? I found that in the legal profession, the clients that we have, very few, if any, have been through any sort of formalized sales coaching. And if we think about that, it's kind of crazy, right? Because as an estate attorney, especially if you're running your own practice, right, running your own business, you effectively are in sales. You are a salesperson. Now, sometimes we don't like the way that sounds. We don't want to think of ourselves as salespeople, but it's just true. The better that you are at sales, at helping people solve their problems, at supporting a higher fee structure, the more success you're going to have. It's just the way that it goes. And if you're not on our new platform of our Essentials program, and you're not involved with the coaching that's going on that new platform, then you're really missing out. Not only are you missing out on some of the great technology that we have with the Essentials program and our web and our CRM development, but how do we make that transition, that handoff from marketing to sales is very, very important. So what I'd like to do is just kind of give you a preview or a taste of kind of what's going on in the sales training, in the sales coaching. For those of you that just haven't really engaged with that at all, haven't engaged with us on a super high level, this is a way to kind of just really better your practice, better your methods, better your skills, could be a constant learner. And it all starts kind of with your attitude about how you approach your business, right? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you concerned about growing? Are you concerned about revenue? Are you looking constantly for ways to improve and grow, both as an individual, but also in your business, in your life? So I kind of want to go through, just get, like I said, just give you a quick preview as to what's kind of happening inside the sales coaching. And I thought one great way for us to kind of go through this is for me to kind of hit some of the rules, right, that we have in sales coaching. One of the big things that I think is very helpful to follow is to have a playbook that you follow. You wouldn't go in, a football team wouldn't go into any football game without going over their playbook, having plays laid out, having coordination and thought about when to run certain plays and how to approach certain situations. One thing that's very important to remember is that when you go into these sales opportunities, when you go into that initial phone call or that initial meeting, there are expectations on both sides, right? You have your expectations as the attorney, but the person across from you has their expectations as well. We want to make sure that we're focused on them. And a lot of us think that we do that when we're in our meetings. We think that maybe by providing education that we are doing a favor and showing value, when a lot of times, guys, to be honest with you, that's the opposite of what you want to do. So I'm going to get into some of my rules, just like I said, just give you a taste of a preview. And then for those of you that see value in being better at sales, DM me, message me on through Facebook, either to the group or to our page, or if you have my email, it's james@estateplanningpartners.com. You can email me. I'd be happy to set up time to talk with you. But let's just kind of get into some of these rules, guys. Rule number one, this kind of makes up the foundation for when we go into these sales meetings, is to understand that clients are going to buy for their reasons and not yours. So it's very important that when you go into these meetings, that you focus on the client, you focus on their needs, their concerns, their worries, really and truly their pain and their problems. That's where your focus wants to be, because they're going to buy for their reasons and not for yours, okay? You may have in your idea all of the solutions that you have in your pocket, right? All of the documents that you can create, all of the ways that those documents fit together, and the solutions that they provide. A lot of times, those are your reasons of why somebody should hire you, right? What we have to understand is that they don't buy for your reasons. Clients are going to buy for their reasons. And so it's very important that you uncover and get to the truth of all of those reasons. The rule number 2 is that people make decisions emotionally, and then they justify those decisions intellectually. People make decisions emotionally, they justify their decisions intellectually. This especially is true when it comes to buying decisions. Whether I'm going to give you money, I'm going to pay for this thing. That decision is made emotionally, and then we justify it intellectually. So if we never get to the emotional parts during our sales process, then, flip a coin on whether you're going to close this person or not, right? But if we can really get to the emotional side, well, our odds of closing are extraordinarily high. And there are techniques you can implement that help bring that conversation to the emotional, to what we call pain in the present. If you get a big cut on your arm, right, and it hurts really bad, you're going to go to the doctor and want to get it fixed, right? So it's kind of that bleeding neck syndrome, right? So if we can help clients understand that the emotions that are attached to all of their problems and their people, then we've got a much better chance of getting them to move and actually want to solve those problems, okay? So number 2, people make decisions emotionally. They justify those decisions intellectually, okay? Number 3, this is probably one of the hardest things, I think, to start to get your mind around, is what we call no mutual mystification, which means we don't want to have confusion. We talked about what the clients expect and what you expect. We want no confusion during this meeting. We have to have extreme clarity, and we have to get the person across from us to agree to move to the next step. So that all starts with what we call upfront contracts. And the upfront contract allows you for you to define, to kind of establish that doctor frame, to define the purpose of the meeting, to uncover the prospect's agenda, to outline your agenda, detail the amount of time needed, and then also the outcome at the end. Where does this road lead to? Where are we trying to get to? What does success look like? And that typically means a decision is being made, right? It's decision time. When we get to the end, we're going to expect you to make a decision of yes to engage or no to not engage. There is no think it over. Just want you to know that ahead of time. So we lay out some of these things, okay? And there are strategies and scripts that we can put together that help you set that frame. But we want to make sure, number 3, no mutual mystification, no unclearness about where we're going. We want perfect clarity about where the conversation's headed, okay? Number 4 is what I call dummy up, okay? This refers to you focusing on the client and asking questions and not drifting into education mode. I think a lot of times that's where our expertise lies. And so that's where our comfort level lies as well, right? So if you're an attorney, you understand the ins and outs of estate planning, how all the documents fit in place, and all of the possible scenarios that you can solve, right? And so it's more comfortable for you. It's more comfortable for me to talk about marketing. It's more comfortable for you to talk about the law and the documents, because that's where your expertise is. And a lot of times we'll feel like the more expertise we can give out, the more education we can provide, that's going to show our expertise and it's going to help that person make a decision. And it's just not true, okay? It's just not true. What that does is it takes the attention off of the client and what their issues are, and it focuses it on your expertise. And now the client, they're not engaged. Their emotions aren't there. It's not about them. Something's being done to them, right? They're being educated, okay? And it sounds good, but it's just not, okay? So what we want to do is we want to dummy up. And kind of the way this works is if you think about when you first started off in law and you go into your first meeting, this is your first client meeting, your very first estate plan, your level of knowledge and expertise is very low. So on the scale, I'll change my hands. On the scale, you're on the dummy phase, right? And so when you go into those meetings, because you don't have a lot of experience, because you don't have a lot of expertise yet, by default, you ask questions. It's the only place you have to go. So you ask all these questions, and you do 30% of the talking, and the prospect or client does 70%, right? And you're doing that because what else are you going to do? You don't know what else to have. And because of that, your sales and revenue tends to be fairly high. You get a lot of good closing because you're asking questions. Now, as your expertise and your skill level progresses, right? Well, now you're doing all the education, 70% of the talking, and they're doing 30%, and your sales drop, right? We want to do is do what we did in the beginning, which is focus on asking questions. We want to do that on purpose, okay? Avoid education, focus on asking questions, okay? That's going to help people feel like they're being heard and we have empathy for them, okay? So dummy up. And the next one is, it kind of goes along with that, which is don't spill your candy. It's a term that's kind of been used in sales for a long time. You may have heard that before, but that means let's not provide unpaid consulting, right? And honestly, education to that person is not going to solve their problem, right? Only signing an engagement letter, making a decision, writing you a check, that's what's going to solve their problem. Being educated and leaving without doing such is not going to do anything for them. They're going to be in the same mess they're in before. Let's not give away our expertise. Let's not provide unpaid consulting. That's going to spoil the sale for us, okay? Number 6, never answer an unasked question. And that's a really hard one sometimes because you can see scenarios playing out and so you never want to just bring in new information that the client or the prospect hasn't brought up, okay? Some of these things are really difficult to implement because they're counter to what our instincts kind of tell us to do, right? But never answer an unasked question. You can use a softening statement if you recognize, and you can say something like, I don't suppose you'd be interested in generation skipping. It kind of sounds like that's something you'd be interested in. I don't suppose that'd be something we should talk about, versus saying generation skipping does blah, 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 blah. Okay, just as an example. Reversing. This is kind of one of those skills or techniques that I think is super, super important. And if you're not familiar with what reversing is, what that basically means is when somebody asks you a question, instead of feeling like you have to answer that question, you answer it with a question. A good example would be, and a lot of times you'll get this on the phone, you get a phone call or you have that conversation or that meeting and the person says, you know, I just have a really simple estate and I just need a will. So what do you charge for a will? What do you charge for that? And that's the question posed to you, right? There's a million ways you can answer, right? You could just give them the price and tell them. You could get offended and kind of backpedal. The appropriate response that with sales training would be, you know, that's a really interesting question. You said you have a very small estate, very simple estate, and you just need a will. What makes you think your estate's small? And then shut up. Right? Just sit there and let them talk, right? And then you can follow it up with, and you mentioned a will. Why do you think you need a will? What is it about a will that makes you think you need that, right? These things will peel back the layers of the onion and get that person to talk and open up. And it takes the attention away from the cost and more on, why are you asking this? Why are we here? Why are we doing this, right? So reversing is a technique and a skill that you can learn through sales coaching, okay? Number 8, not every prospect is qualified to become your client. You don't have to take everybody, right? If you're doing a great job with your marketing, you're engaging online, you're adding your authenticity to your brand, you've set up good conversion strategies, you're going through your sales playbook, right? You're vetting people, you're asking the questions. If you get to the point where you're like, I don't really like this person, or I really don't want to work with them, it's going to be too much of a headache, or I'm not even sure I can solve their problem. It's kind of what they're really asking is kind of outside of my wheelhouse. Yes, I could do it, but if I do that, then I can't do the other thing. I only have so much time. So not every prospect is qualified to become your client. You hold that in your power, right? That this is your practice, this is your revenue, this is your time, this is your team, right? And they need you way more than you need them. And so not every prospect is qualified to become your client. If you take that into it, it gives you more of a confidence going into all of your meetings, okay? Number 9, stop selling features and benefits. One really cool thing, we had our boot camp, was it 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I led a sales training course on Friday. And I got up, I said, everybody in here with 23 firms, everybody in here, raise your hand if you provide good customer service. Everybody raise their hand. Raise your hand if you provide great quality documents. Everybody raise their hand. Raise your hand if you provide a holistic approach, an individualized approach. Oh, everybody raise their hand. Okay, now raise your hand if you provide peace of mind. Everybody raise their hand. Okay, so if you are a consumer and you're looking out, trying to decide which law firm, which attorney am I going to hire? And everybody that you're looking at says, we provide great customer service. We provide peace of mind. We also offer a holistic approach to estate planning. If everybody's saying that, how do you decide? They're all the same. Okay, so stop selling features and benefits. Okay, there's other things to focus on, and sales coaching kind of helps you get to the heart of the matter with the person and get away from spilling the candy and selling features and benefits. The same approach also applies to your marketing. Okay, in your website, in your marketing, you don't talk about features and benefits. You talk about the problems that you solve. Okay, the pain that you alleviate. Number 10. You can't lose anything that you don't have, okay? So when a new prospect comes in and you don't close them, guess what? You didn't lose that sale. You never had it to begin with, right? So remember, it's okay to go for no. It's okay to press people into making a decision, because the honest answer is, if they don't hire you, they don't hire you. Right? You don't have anything to lose. So you can't lose anything you don't have. Keep that mentality when you go into these meetings. It'll give you much more confidence into how you approach and move forward. Number 11, sell today, educate tomorrow. If you notice the theme in some of this, right? We want to steer clear from the education. We want to focus more on the sales strategy. And really, if our intention is right, which is really step 1 in our sales playbook, set your intention to serve this person to their best purpose, whatever that may be. Whatever success is for them, let's serve them to that truth, okay? And we're not gonna get there by educating them. We're gonna get there by helping them get to the truth. And there's a big difference, guys. And if that's our intention, if that's how we're moving forward, if we're selling today and we're educating tomorrow, then we're in a much better position to close at a much higher rate, okay? And number 12, guys, this is probably the most important. Decide what you want. Decide what you want out of life, out of your practice, out of your business, and then build a plan to get there, and you can bet on the outcome. It will happen. I've seen it so many times. The biggest hurdle that we have is between our ears, okay? So let's get out there, decide what we want, build a plan, and you can bet on the outcome. So this just kind of gives you a preview into some of the things that we dive into in sales coaching. And we've seen some tremendous success. We've seen people really go from closing at around 60% to closing at close to 100%. And this is not done by kicking people out of the funnel. We don't do that by saying, it'd be really easy to close at 100% if we just put on our website, estate plans, $5,000. And everybody that was like, $5,000, right? They don't call us. Everybody is like, oh, $5,000, I got that just lying around. Well, those people close really easy. So you can close at 100% if you're knocking out 90% of the people that come into your office, right? Well, let's take that price and let's just put it back here. It's not the focus yet, right? One thing to remember, this is a great analogy that we use in our sales coaching, is that imagine every meeting, every phone call, every opportunity that you go into, you've got your bucket of gold, okay? It's like this, you can see my bucket. And at the beginning of that meeting, this is pretty empty. You might have an intake to kind of know who their people are. You might know kind of what their priorities are. But as you ask this person question, every question that you get answered is gold into your bucket, okay? You're building value by getting questions answered, revealing pain, getting to the truth every time. And so when you bring this bucket over to the table and you sit on the scales and you say, here's all of your, I'm gonna do this, here's all your pain, okay? And here is my fee, okay? Well, the pain is heavy and the fee is the same. If you start off and say, my fee is $5,000, pretty even, right? Like they know exactly what the cost is. But if we are building up pain and it's getting heavier and heavier and we're building our bucket up and our bucket up, when we present the price, people go, I can do all of this. I can solve all this pain just for that amount. That's it. To fix all of this, this is all it costs, right? That's what we want. So decide for a plan, look to the future, be excited, take action. Like I said, most of this is between your ears. Stop doing the education, focus more on the pain, have a game plan, a strategy, a playbook. It helped me very much to have hard and fast rules of here's what I say, here's what I don't say, you know? So I stick over in this side where I know I'm in the right place, where I'm moving forward to a decision to actually help the person that I'm speaking with, right? So that kind of gives you an idea of what's happening in our sales coaching, in our sales training. So I'd love for you to reach out, right? Take control, take extreme ownership of your success. If you haven't been through any formalized sales training before, or if you have, but it was years ago, right? Dealing with web leads in the 21st century in today's day and age is much different. And people's expectations are much different. And the more that you can stand out from the rest, the better you're going to be. The better you're going to be. So that's my little bit about sales coaching. I'm very excited about it. Like I said, we've seen tremendous success. And so anybody that wants to kind of jump into this, or at least talk with me about what the benefits would be of jumping into this, please let me know. DM us through Facebook, or shoot us an email. Myself or one of our strategy coaches will be in touch to kind of help you through that. So with that, I'm going to end the live video. Hope you guys enjoyed and got something out of this. And hopefully we'll talk soon. All right, thanks.